Hey guys, what's up? Serena Apia here from thriftdiving.com, and today we are talking about buying a house. Now, you may not be looking for a house, but number one, I guarantee you know someone who is, and number two, most people only stay in their homes for an average of 7 years. So you probably are going to be looking for a home very soon. So today we're going to talk about 10 questions that you must ask before you buy your next home. Seriously, 10 questions. There's actually more than 10 questions, maybe like 30 or 40 questions, but we're going to start with the top 10 and we're going to do it right now. And I just got 10,000 steps. Question number one. Well, the windows need to be replaced. When you go to look at a house, I guarantee you are looking outside the window. You're looking at the scenery, right? What does it look like outside the windows? But do you ever stop to look and see what the condition of the windows look like? Are there any drafts? Is it wood? Is it painted? Is it something that you have to strip and replace? Is it something that's going to allow bugs to get into your house? When we bought our house, it's a 1973 home, we did not look at the windows. I don't even know if the inspector mentioned the age of the windows. So when we moved in, we noticed we were getting a lot of stink bugs in our house. We were getting a lot of drafts. It was during the winter time, and so all of that cold air was just coming in and the house was freezing. So we did what we didn't think we'd have to do, guys. We spent $14,000, yes, $14,000 on replacing 22 windows in this entire house. Now, if that is enough to give you, convulsions, imagine what it did to us when we were fresh out of our condo. We'd never owned a home before, and suddenly we were having to spend $14,000 on windows. That was not an expense we were planning for. So whenever you are going to look at a house, look at the condition of the windows. Find out from the homeowners, when were they replaced? Is it something you are going to have to budget for over the next few years? Windows are not cheap, and on average they cost $500 to $600 per window. And these are probably the mid-grade windows that we got from Home Depot and have to have them installed. So 22 windows, yeah, that was not good. So check the windows. Question number two, what's the position and quality of the trees surrounding the house? Did you know that to get a tree removed, it's about $1,200 to $1,400? That is not, just me pulling a number out of my head. That's how much we paid to have one of these huge, massive trees removed from our yard. We bought our house in the wintertime, and so at that time, all the leaves were gone. We didn't notice the trees. The trees were just part of the surrounding of the house. So when you're looking at a house, ask yourself, is it close enough to fall on my house during a storm? Are the leaves going to block the sun coming into my house? We had so many big, huge oak trees around the house that literally parts of my home felt like a cave, because when the spring came, that first spring that we were in the home, it blocked out all of the sunlight. And I'm telling you, my family room looked like a dungeon. It was several years before we actually got one of those trees cut down. And every year, it was like this depressing, oh my gosh, spring is coming. All the light's gonna be blocked. Oh, why did we buy this house? It was not a good feeling. So when you go to look at a house, look at the trees and see where they are. Maybe it's a small tree that maybe in 5 years or 6 years or 7 years, it will grow into a larger tree that's blocking your windows. Or, maybe it could fall on your house. Keep in mind, it's very expensive to hire tree experts to come and remove that tree. And that's just to remove the tree. To remove the stump, it's usually another $500, $600, $700. So it's not a very cheap thing to have a tree removed. Keep that in mind when you're going to look for your next home. Question number three, do you see any signs of pests? When we moved into this house, we were coming during a time when all the pests were dormant, right? There were no ants anywhere. We couldn't see any ants. We couldn't see anything. It was winter. Everything was sleeping. But the minute spring came, we literally had ants all over the house. We had ants in our master bedroom, our bathroom, our walk-in closet, and it wasn't because we were leaving food all over the house. They were just everywhere. So I ended up having to spend probably about $500 or $600 for the entire year to get a pest management control plan. Now that's an expense you're probably not adding in when you're looking at how much it's going to cost you month to month to live in this house. Go around, open up cabinets. Do you see any roaches? Thankfully we didn't have any of those, but we did have centipedes, and they scared the crap out of us. That first time we saw one, we're like, what is that? Oh, just look and see if you notice any signs of anything. Go down to the basement, the parts of the basement where no one really hangs around. Do you see any signs of any infestations? So just check the corners of windowsills, and go into the closets, back of the closet, see if you can move some things around. I know you'll have to get a little intrusive into people's homes when you're going to look, but this will help to save you the hassle of buying a home that might have an insect problem. Question number 4. Are there any sidewalks in the neighborhood? When we bought our house, we didn't notice that there were no sidewalks. So if you've got children, if you like to walk, if you like to run, you've got pets you're taking for walks, where are you going to walk? If you're walking on the side of the road, well, that's fine if you're just by yourself and you know how to look for cars, but what if you have children? So in my neighborhood, when we walk to the playground, I've got to always keep an eye on where these kids are, because at any moment they're in the middle of the road, even though I tell them not to be, and I'm telling them, get over, car's coming. So keep that in mind. Where are your children going to play? Do you want them to be able to ride their bicycles up and down the sidewalk in front of the house? Or is there a road with no sidewalks and your kids are not going to be able to ride their bikes? Keep that in mind. Question number 5. Is the house too outdated? There are a lot of homes that you can find for really good deals, but they need a lot of work. Wallpaper everywhere, floors that are from 1973, all kinds of updates that have to be done. And if you've never bought a home before, if you've never done these types of projects, I can guarantee you they will take you years to do. Unless you have the money to spend to hire people to come in to help, they will take a long time. So when you go to look at homes, make sure that you're keeping that in mind. Will you have the time to redo this house? Do you have young kids? If you have young kids, where are they going to be while you and your spouse or your significant other are doing these DIY projects? We've done a lot of things in this house. We have removed all the wallpaper. I redid all the bathrooms and removed the avocado green toilet. And I've painted my shower, which was a 1973 turquoise shower. So all of these things took time. And you have to ask yourself, do you really have the time? If you're working a full-time job, will you have time in the evenings? Will you do this on the weekends? When will you update this house? And can you live in a house that's not updated where you want it to be while you're doing all these projects over the next few years? So keep that in mind, because it's really important. It's a lot of work. Number 6, does the house have any weird odors? Odors are a problem. When you walk into a house, if it smells bad or if it smells a little too good, you might want to stop and think about that. Let me tell you why this is important, because when we moved into our house, there was an odor, even when we came to look at the house. Maybe it's cooking smells. I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe we just open the windows and it'll be aired out. Well, when we came in with that inspector, I noticed it smelled a little bit mildewy. It had a little bit of an odor to it. And the inspector was not able to find exactly where this smell was coming from. And I felt that I was a little duped there, and I'll explain that in maybe another maybe down in the comment section we'll talk about that. But I felt that I should have gotten maybe a mold test done, but I didn't feel that I had the support of the people who were doing this with me, whether it was my husband, the inspector, the agent. Everybody wanted to rush the process. No, we don't have time. We can't do a mold test. We have to hurry. We have dates. We have to get things submitted by certain due dates. And I really felt that I should have taken that time to do that mold test. So, even to this day, we've been in this house for 7 years, and I can tell you that the air doesn't smell quite that fresh. It's not us. It's not that I stink. It's just there are problems that we discovered with water in the basement, and I know that there's some sort of mold issues that need to be addressed. So that's going to be something that over the next couple of months that I'm really going to be taking care of and getting another inspector to come in to take a look at. But think about that. You want to walk into a home when you're going to visit it and you want to smell nothing really. You just want the air to smell just normal and fresh. If they're trying to spray a lot of scents to cover up smoke, mildew, cooking smells, those things are hard to get rid of, and can also cause additional cost to you to get rid of those odors. So if you smell a house that doesn't smell quite fresh, it could be the most beautiful home, but if it doesn't smell fresh, don't buy it. Number 7, does the ground slope away from the house? Now, this is something that a lot of people probably don't know to look at. But if you are sitting at the bottom of a hill, where does all the water come when it rains? Right down to your house, which means flooded basements, which means mold, which means, really super expensive basement remediation things. They have to do French drains and do grading. So when we bought this house, I didn't know to look at the grading, and so there were some problems with water coming into the basement, and we had to spend a couple $1,000s, maybe $3,000 to have grading, to have some other things done so that the water was not coming into the basement. So keep in mind the ground around your house, around this house that you're looking at, it should slope away from the house. You never want to sit at the bottom of the hill where the grading is just coming to the house, because that's foundation problems, that's water in your basement. Number 8, what do the cars in the neighborhood look like? So if you're noticing a lot of broken down cars, if you're noticing some older cars that look like they've not been well maintained, maybe they're full of rust, I don't think I want to live in that neighborhood, because it sounds like it's probably not a great neighborhood. Now, you don't have to buy a home in a neighborhood where everyone's buying, and sporting Benzes and, these cars that cost a lot of money. Like, okay, that's great and all, but no, just look for cars that are like maybe newer, maybe a few years late model, but they look well maintained. Because if a car looks like a person maintains it, you can probably bet that they maintain their home as well. So that's pretty important. Number 9, what are the neighbors like? And I say that with a huge smile on my face because I've got a crazy neighbor. She is known as the cat lady in the neighborhood, or at least that's kind of what I call her, because we had no idea that she fed the stray cats in the neighborhood. Now, I have no problem with cats. I think they're cute. I think they're adorable. But when they're pooping in my yard, they're not that cute. My kids can't even go play in the yard because they risk stepping in cat poop. So you have to go and talk to your neighbors. Just go knock on the door and say, hey, I'm thinking about buying the house next door. And get an idea, snoop a little and see, is this someone that I would want to live next to for the next 7 years, which is the average amount of time that people live in their home? Could I see myself living next to this person for 7 years? Go talk to some of the other people, maybe a few houses up. Say, hey, I'm thinking about buying the yellow house down just a few houses from you. What do you think? What's it like living in the neighborhood? And hopefully you get someone who's chatty and who likes to tell you everything. Maybe not a gossip, but likes to at least fill you in on what to expect by living on this road. And I think if you have a better idea of who is going to be living next to you, you might be able to make a better choice. Number 10. How much are the utilities? So when we bought our house, we really only thought about, okay, we've got our principal, our interest, and our property taxes. Well, we didn't really think about how much the utilities were going to be. So the house that you're looking to buy, how much is the heating bill? How much is the water? Is it $300-400, or are you expecting it to be $120 like your last home? Is there a homeowners association cost? Some of these homeowners association bills can be $300 to $400, if not more, depending on what they cover. So all of these things have to be considered. Otherwise, you may be priced out of this home and you may not even realize it. You don't want to move into your home and feel like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? I bought this house we can't afford. So make sure that you have a pretty good idea of what the total cost is going to be. Call the energy company and find out for the last 12 months, what was the average per month. Now, even though your family might be a little different than the family who's living there now, you might have a good idea of what to expect. So you don't want any surprises when you move into your house, not when it comes to utilities, because it's such an easy thing to be able to track and to add into your figure. So there you have it, guys. 10 questions you must ask before you buy your next house. And this is actually 10 of 30 questions. So if you want that full 30 checklist of questions, you got to go down below to the description, click that link, enter your name and email, and you'll be able to download the full 30 questions, and you can take it with you to your next open house. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, because we do DIY projects here and we're always talking about everything home related. And go back to thriftdiving.com, check out other projects that I've done, check out my project gallery, and once you move into that house, see some of the projects that you can make in order to inexpensively decorate your home on a budget. I will see you next project, and don't forget, subscribe because you don't want to miss the next video.